We'll call this regular meeting of the Stanley City Council to order. Please note we have 4 council people here, plus our city attorney, auditor, P&Z director, our public works director, and usually the chief of police is back there. If you wish to address the council, these minutes are recorded, meetings are recorded. So please come up to the podium and make sure you turn the light on. With that, the first item on the agenda would be the minutes of the special meeting we had January 5th and our regular meeting December 14th. Were there any corrections or additions? Any corrections or additions?
A motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, motion by Mr. Hellman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next on the agenda would be the planning and zoning, and I think Mr. Highrider is here.
Mr. Mayor, council members, we had our regular meeting last evening. First up was H2O Connections, Jarrett Wirtz. He has had an application in for the last 3 years and renewed it each year to suck water out of the reservoir on the south end of town there. Last year when we did his renewal, we set it up so that we don't have to go through all the hoops. He doesn't have to do a public hearing. As long as everything is the same and he's in good standing with the state and his water permit is accurate and correct and current, which it was. So we agreed that we would renew his water permit.
Okay. Any questions on that?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? Second. Second by Mr. Taylor. Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Jake?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next order of business was variance permit for Pam Nelson. Last summer, she was in and got a variance permit to put a new building on her property. Because that land is zoned ag, the ag setbacks are quite a bit larger than what she has currently. So last year we approved for a 50 by 100 building in the appropriate setbacks. This time she found that she can buy a 54 by 100 building cheaper than a 50 by 100. And that's what she'd like to put on that lot. Well, because her original variance was for a 50 by 100 with those setbacks, we needed to create a new variance. So in the process, we explained to her that her existing variance from last summer would be null and void. On this one, she only had 2 sides instead of the 3, so she needed to add the 3rd line. So that was added and corrected during the meeting. And we changed the setback numbers, and a motion was made to approve it and second and passed.
Okay. Comments, questions?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Taylor. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Jake?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Motion carried.
And our concerns, the only thing we had was, we asked Amanda if the Miss Spagel, the gal that had applied for the pet store cattery if she had responded to any of our questions that Amanda had emailed to her, and as of yet, we have heard nothing back from her on the answer to the questions or any further, anything on her wishes over there. We didn't spend, we talked a little bit about our book, but we didn't spend any time in depth. We will be next Tuesday having a special meeting, and we're going through our landscaping section of our book right now.
Okay. All right.
That's it.
Okay, thanks, Todd.
Yep, thank you.
Next on the agenda would be the P and Z Administrator Report.
Good evening, everyone. As you can see, the only permit that I have on there is for Mrs. Spicer. That goes along with the variance that you guys approved at the last meeting to have a 4-foot tall front yard fence instead of the 2-foot 6-inch fence. So if you have any questions on that.
Okay. Any questions on that, comments?
Need a motion to approve.
Yes.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Minton. Is there a
Second.
second? By Mr. Hellman. No other discussion. Call the roll.
Jake,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, the other item that you guys have in your packet is my letter to you all stating that we have had a report of non-compliance for Brian Schmies. He has the house that's over here, kitty corner from the old post office, 109 First Avenue Southeast. He did get sent a letter in November to bring the property into compliance by the 20th of December, and he did not. We never heard anything from him or the interest holder in his property. So at this time, I would ask for you guys to set a public hearing for his property.
What's out of compliance on there?
I'm sorry?
What is out of compliance with the property?
He would have to get the foundation fixed. There's foundation issues on that south side, especially towards the east. There's 2 big holes in the foundation where you can see daylight coming into the basement. So I believe, I don't know if they got the report already or not.
Probably not.
Okay.
This one, let me just open up. I do know that he did receive, I have the certified return receipt that he received this as well as the interest holder on the property. There's just overall issues with the disrepair of the property. There was garbage and pet urine and feces that were in there. There's a lot of structural issues, not only in the basement, but on the main floor, weeds and grass, the foundation issue that Amanda mentioned. The property hasn't been connected to any city utilities since April of 2019. So there's some significant issues with the interior of the building and the exterior.
Right, and I apologize. I thought that you guys had got that information already.
And I assume nobody lives there.
No, nobody has lived there for, I think, since before April of 2019. I know that that's just when the city had turned off the water at the curb stop.
So did somebody complain about the foundation?
Yes, the
Okay.
neighbor to the south
Okay.
actually noticed that from her backyard. I don't know if it was water draining or what, but she had called and said that there was an issue with being able to see some daylight on that side by the foundation. So we went over and took a look, and then we tried to get permission from the owner to do an inspection. He did not. So Kendra did ask for the search warrant. The chief and I went over there and inspected it, and it definitely has some structural issues.
Okay. Any other questions?
You know, I mean, so if we do approve this tonight, then the next steps are, where does it go?
Same thing as the Greenstone property. So we would be sitting with a hearing at the next council meeting where you'd get to see all of the evidence, and then Mr. Schmies could, as well as the interest holder, show up and give you reasons why it shouldn't be vacated, repaired, or demolished.
I suppose, I mean, if it's radio silence, then does it basically become the city's problem? I mean, if they don't respond or play ball.
Yeah, if you, I mean, it depends on what the council determines for you to do. I can send you out the ordinance from that chapter too, but eventually, if it's ordered to be demolished and he doesn't step up, it can be special assessed against the property.
So yes, it does become the city's problem, but I think that there are valid concerns with the property. It is in quite rough shape. The foundation is crumbling on that south side of the house, and that is the house that butts up right next to the backyard on the house next door. They're kind of very small lots.
Any other comments or questions? So at this time, if we're going to proceed, we would need a motion to set a public hearing for next regular meeting.
Yes, sir, please.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Minton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Zach. Any other discussion?
Just a quick comment. I'd like to have that information emailed out to us prior to that meeting so that we could actually take a look at everything.
And it will come out in the packet, I believe.
There'll be a packet that'll come, just the same as the Greenstone one.
I apologize. These
No,
things are
just so
getting all
long as we
squished
get a
together,
chance
so
to
I
take a
forget
peek.
what you guys have got and what you haven't. We're just kind of running a month behind on this one compared to the Greenstone one, so it gets a little confusing.
Yeah, and just a question, is there any value to stalling for a month just to see if there's any, communication on it, or is it just kicking it down? Just trying to make sure we have the duty to do something. I know,
You
I'm
can,
just curious.
you
if
can
there-
still, after the public hearing, order a time period for him to repair. I mean, this doesn't mean setting the hearing that you're dead set on demolishing it. You would have to hear everything presented at that time.
And I don't know if delaying that hearing would really make a difference. We've heard nothing from him. I tag his house a couple times a year for grass and overgrown weeds and such, and I never hear anything. So it's been empty for quite a few years, and it just seems to be continuing to go downhill. So we would like the chance to be able to present the information to you.
Okay, any other discussion? Call the roll.
Jake,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty,
No,
David.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Next on the agenda would be the second reading of the backflow prevention and cross-connection ordinance. Yeah, but not for this one. I think is he coming for the next one down?
Ward, are you on the conference call?
Yes, this is Ward.
You will have to adopt the ordinance first before we can go into the program.
So this is what we started out last meeting with the first reading as far as protecting our water system. Some of this stuff I don't quite understand either, but Kurt, you probably do. Well, there's a lot of big terms.
yeah. I mean, basically what I was looking at here is this more or less, this applies to any multifamily dwellings or commercial structures, but not just residential properties as they said.
No single-family residential houses are in this right now. Yep.
And is this grandfathered in, or is this immediately it has to be, or, like everything has to be brought to compliance within a certain time frame? There's no,
So Ward can probably answer better to this because the program piece of this, there's two different levels. And one of them you have to do, one of them is optional. They recommend, obviously, we do the required and the optional, but my conversation with the state, and he can probably give you a better idea on this, is that they're not going to come try to enforce everything because they're just starting in April of this year to try to get people roped in. They've got some pretty big cities on this, so we're ahead of a lot of other places adopting this.
Yeah, and just one of the other things I'd noticed, I mean, it looks like it requires a yearly test, by the certified, this is kind of one of the things I want to make sure of is that, like, are there adequate numbers of people that do those, so all of a sudden people are able to stay in compliance, and what kind of cost is that, reasonably going to bring per inspection sort of thing?
So Ward is actually one of the people certified and part of a program because we have a population under, I believe it's 5,000. One of our people from Public Works can actually get certified and they will reimburse us through the state if we want to have somebody do that.
So basically, what this is, it's all Greek to us. This is all new. But we're gonna have to learn it as we go. But I believe there's training to be certified. I believe it's in the end of March. So. But more, do you know more about this? Because we went through that training. So, if there's any questions or.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, if we move forward, obviously we're gonna have to do something that at least the right numbers of people are in place to be able to hold up with our end of the deal too, where, there's inspections. Then I still had a question, kind of how do we know that the inspections are done? Like what's the indicator? Like every year I get notified that my tabs are gonna expire, or is it gonna just be the honor system, or, kind of what does that part look like? So we're not chasing people around a year down the road, notifying they didn't send us their inspections,
Mr. Mayor, this is Ward Hydberger. I can answer those questions if you'd prefer.
Can you turn him up?
Ward, you'll have to speak up. We can hardly hear you.
Okay, I can answer those questions if you'd like, Mr. Mayor.
Okay,
Part of the written program that the city will have to develop includes how you're going to track and administer the program, how you're going to collect the data or the test documents from those required to have them. There is an example spreadsheet as part of the annual reporting spreadsheet that gives you some of that ability. Or developing a custom program would also work. If somebody's very adept at Excel spreadsheets, do a very simple thing, you set a calendar reminder through a spreadsheet, send out notifications. As far as the testing the city devices, if the city of Stanley is a member of North Dakota Rural Water Systems Association, we have 3 staff that are available to test city-owned backflow preventers at a greatly reduced price. We prefer just to do those owned by the city and requested by the city so that we're not in competition with a private provider of the same service.
okay.
Everything looks okay, Kendra, as far as.
Yep, this is exactly the model ordinance and the model program and everything. They were very, very helpful. Basically said all the same stuff Ward did. They're very willing to answer our questions moving forward. I think they'd be of great help, probably because we're one of the cities that are willing to start this.
Well, I would think it'd work like our annual sprinkler inspection and our boiler inspection. They just automatically once a year, they tell you they're coming. Any other comments or questions?
Is this the part where, or is it the next piece where we're talking about the required one or the voluntary, the difference between the containment program?
That'll be the next one.
Okay, so that's the next one. So that has nothing to do with the ordinance then.
And that's exactly what we're talking about is the program.
Sure.
I'm sorry, the program part of it. So once you adopt the ordinance, then we have the ability to implement this program.
Any other comments?
Make the motion to approve the second reading.
Okay, motion by Mr. Hellman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Zach, was it? Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Jake,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty,
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, now we'll move into the next thing on the agenda is the backflow prevention program, where they have two different levels of participation. And one of them is mandatory and one isn't. And this is something the state must have just passed.
They're starting it up because a different piece, I believe some of the Century Code provisions allowing for this to be enforced have been in there for a while, but now they're just starting to push for a new program. And the Department of Environmental Quality has actually have staff dedicated to this now, where they're going to start implementing this. So the required portion is the containment program, and that applies to your publicly owned buildings or properties. So that would include our city hall, public works. But the comprehensive program is actually the step where they go to the multifamily residences as well as the commercial facilities to be able to do surveys and look at all those cross connections and make sure all those buildings have backflow prevention. So it's a little more, just like the title says, it's a lot more comprehensive than just the containment program.
Questions?
Is there any legal guidance, for one versus the other? Obviously,
I would really refer to Ward on this. And I think it just depends what you guys, this is new. They're just rolling this out. So for sure, we're going to have to do the required program at the minimum. But it's totally what you guys would like to see. And I'm sure that Curtis has it. You probably have input on this as well. No input. Okay. But
I'm
it's
just
your
saying,
choice.
basically the containment program would just be taking care of our
Yep.
stuff, right? And we're not as worried about us, I like to think we're not filling sprayers and
Yep.
stuff. So, I just kind of want to know the direction to, because obviously, it's hard to ever want to line up and be the first person on the DEQ's trial run on anything. But I'm just kind of curious, what kind of protection do we feel is necessary right now for the city? And, Ward, if you have any insight, I'd be all ears.
Well, as you move forward with developing the written program and developing the annual report spreadsheet or DEQ, the amount of work involved by the staff is about the same. You still have to provide questionnaires and on-site surveys for either program in order to fill out the annual report form. Taking it just that little bit further and saying we're going to do the comprehensive plan. The legwork is already into it. It's just the bookkeeping has to be established. So my recommendation, based on the size of the city of Stanley, the number of connections to be questioned and or surveyed, would be to go with a comprehensive plan that offers a higher level of protection to your consumer than the containment program does. And in the end goal, drinking water is the city's responsibility to protect. So I would highly recommend going with the full comprehensive program and work with it as you can.
Any other comments? So would this wouldn't be a ordinance, this would be a resolution or just adopting?
You just need to adopt it. So you could do a resolution adopting it. But mainly you just need the permission to say, permission that you're going to move forward with one of the two plans. They did not tell us that we needed a resolution. They just needed the council to adopt one of the two to give Curtis the permission to move forward with developing the plan, the questionnaires, the Excel spreadsheet for all of this. Because you'll have the ordinance in place allowing us to do all the things under the plan.
So this doesn't apply to single family, it applies to all,
Multifamily and commercial and public owned buildings.
could there be any kind of screening process for higher risk, or does it need to blanket apply to every single one?
I would ask Ward that is, I don't think they're addressing single family yet. Sorry, Ward, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Mr. Director. So the single family homes, if there is a defined or known cross connection in existence, it would have to be questionnaire and surveyed. Those would be places that have their own well that's known to be intermingled with the house supply, or that there's an activity that occurs that could be a possible source of a contaminant, such as some type of hobby that uses water in conjunction with chemical. It could also affect a single family resident if it has an agricultural use. So an outlying water connection that is used for agricultural purposes or hobby agriculture, such as watering cattle, livestock, or they use it for an agronomy purpose. Those single family connections may be questionnaire and surveyed. So if it's a known area of concern, those services would be also on the list. Multifamily that has individual service lines to each unit, such as some of those in the John Ryan edition, the townhomes, would not fall under this because they're directly served individually by their own service line. That's called out in the guidance documents for the plan as presented by DEQ. There is a definition for that. Then it'd be your commercial, industrial uses that, or non-single family residential uses that would be questionnaire and surveyed. If their questionnaire has an indicator to require a survey. So the questionnaires have multiple check boxes on them. Do they have irrigation? Do they have fire suppression? Do they have boiler system? Those are some of the things on those questionnaires. If they check yes, they will receive a on-site survey. If it's a self-contained boiler system, there's no interconnection between their source of contaminant and the potable water supply, they're in the clear. There's no backflow needed. That the questionnaire will trigger the survey, which will trigger the need for backflow prevention or not.
So if I remember what you just said, the questionnaire is kind of step one. Does that go to everybody every year, or once it's already been defined, kind of what bucket it went into? Do you have to start over again every year?
No, it's just initially, and then you're going to be relying on your P&Z administrator to monitor for any changes of structural use and new construction. So now backflow prevention will be included as a phase in the planning and zoning's building permits for commercial, industrial, or residential with agricultural uses. So it'll just have to be something Ms. Dennis is aware of as you move forward, be included in that planning and zoning building permit process.
So the part, Ward, where they have to submit a report every year, is that for everybody?
Yes. If there's an identified need for a backflow prevention device, then they would have to supply a test certificate to the city for the city's records, and ultimately DEQ's review at need or at will. So those records will be reviewed every 3 years when the city goes through their sanitary survey from the health department inspector. They'll ask to see those records. So they will have to be submitted within the calendar year as the ordinance provides. They just have to be tracked and kept on file for 3 years.
Does that include, I'm somewhere in here, I can't find it now, but I mentioned a chloride test yearly. Is that part of that reporting every year?
I'm not sure if I saw the chloride portion in the
I
ordinance.
saw it in some place in here. I'm trying to find it now.
Oh, okay. There is another portion that this program helps with the city with. If you were to have an extended water outage in an area of town, you do not have the comprehensive program, you just have containment, that could place that portion of town on a do not use order, which involves multiple initial bacterial tests and the second round of bacterial tests plus water quality analysis. So I know that's not the answer to your question, but that is where additional testing comes in that I'm aware of.
So Ward, are you seeing most of the
And with
cities going to the comprehensive one or the containment one?
larger cities such as Bismarck, Williston, Dickinson, Minot, they don't have the ability now to implement the comprehensive, so they're going with containment. Cities such as Killdeer, a very similar size community in a similar area, they're going with the comprehensive, trying to stay ahead of it. Developed program now, it's just a maintenance item from here on. They chose not to kick the can down the road and do containment, then comprehensive.
Yeah, I mean, my whole thing, I mean, obviously I know what I want to protect the city from, but what I don't want to do is make it a huge, clerical nightmare on our end either. That's my big fear is, can we accomplish, can you do a hybrid? Can we do I'm sorry, I'm forgetting my terms here. Do you have to go all or none, or can you say, hey, we're going to do our public buildings and our commercial buildings, and then can this change as we see the need versus, I mean, obviously it's going to take some legwork for us because a lot of extra data capture and gathering every year too.
If you're not doing everything that's required under the comprehensive though, and you're subject to review by the DEQ, you could face penalties under Century Code and from them, obviously. So I wouldn't recommend that.
Any other comments? So what happens if all them apartment buildings don't send in their annual report?
I think you need to make a note of it and then disclose that to the DEQ, that they're not in compliance.
Because I could see that happening.
Yep, and I mean, essentially, they're looking to make sure we're putting forth the effort to protect the
Yeah,
city.
and that's, we did our part.
Yep.
Okay.
So we need to at least start with the containment,
You have to do it. Yep.
use that and work towards.
Can we adopt the containment and then, once the guys are trained in and we see how the program's working, then could we revisit it in a year?
I mean, if you want to, and I think the DEQ would be more than happy to help us and guide us at that point. They were very,
Because I think that
very
it
nice.
sounds like I'm
That's
kind of
kinda
on the
what I was
same page
getting
with
at,
you. And I would make that the motion as well. Let's start with the containment. I mean, we have to, since we just adopted the,
Maybe
Second,
review it
yeah.
again in 6 months.
yeah,
or-
and there's nothing stopping us from saying, hey, let's revisit this. This is going well. And
Learn as we go.
yeah,
Yeah.
Is that a
that's my
motion?
motion, yeah.
Second.
Second by Dave. Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Jake,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty,
Aye.
David.
Aye. Thanks.
Motion
Curtis.
carried. Thanks, Ward.
Thank you for your time this evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'll say goodbye.
Okay.
Thanks.
Next on the agenda is the second reading of the Kennel Boarding and Rescue Ordinance. You've all had a chance to look through that.
Motion to approve the second reading.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna recommend one change. I know this is I did not catch this before, before it came over today. Now I gotta look at where it's at. Under the animal rescue operations, and definition of animal shelter, and I can send this over and revise this all in for you. I would just add animal rescue operation to the definition section. It's gonna be the same as the definition for an animal shelter.
Okay.
And then, I gotta make sure. I would just recommend adding animal rescue operations and animal shelter to that title, and then references
About that
within.
first part right there.
Which,
You're talking about the animal rescue operation, just adding the words and
and animal shelter. And then I would just add the reference to both
throughout
underneath that,
section.
under 11.0402.
I would include that in the motion.
Okay.
That sounds fine to me.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Hellman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any further discussion? Yes.
I believe at the last meeting, and Lynn, you can correct me if I'm incorrect, but I believe we did not want to set a resolution for the fee. It was the consensus of the council. Is that correct?
That was kind of the consensus at the time. We did obviously draft an application, and I guess just considering it is still something we need to review, I don't think it would be a bad idea to have a fee, even if it's just a $10 fee. Obviously, it's still something they have to come in and fill out, something that's got to be reviewed.
What's our mobile food fee?
That's,
Like the special event mobile food one,
like
that
some-
one is $10.
I, in my motion, would set it at $10 then.
okay. Your second fine with
Yes,
that?
sir.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
Just for clarification, so does this motion include approving both the second reading and the application with the $10 fee?
That was my intention.
Okay,
Okay, call the roll.
Jake,
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next on the agenda would be the Bros Engineering. You're moving pretty good on that thing.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty used to it.
Sounds like a dirt bike.
Our life for the next 3 more months. So. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I just had a short update on a few projects. The ND8 shared path, I actually got a call from the DOT today, and they said that they were also going to call in. I don't know if they got around to it. But the ND Streets funding is moving to 100% funded by the federal government and the state, where before it was 10% city cost share. So that is gonna be about $90,000. So the city's share, instead of that 222 that's listed there, would be about 132. And they are gonna draft and send the city an updated supplemental to that agreement that lays that out.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah, so that was good news today. Last week, we had the plan specs and estimate meeting with them and should be submitting those changes to the plans this week. And the bid opening is scheduled for March still.
So that's all I had for that one. The CIP project, Wagner has been reaching out to me lately the last 2 weeks, sending submittals and talking with me about the project. They did secure all of their water and sewer materials. I know that was a concern that the council had. They have it, so they said that they'll be starting right away in the spring and expect to be in town all of construction season. Then last there, the Nelson Landis Land Company sewer thing. So I think Kendra had sent me an email about finding that old line. We can do that if the city knows where that's at. So I'll have to reach out to Curtis for that stuff.
You might need Walter for that or something.
Okay. I didn't want to get too far into that until
It goes downhill.
Yeah.
Where they used to actually dug that up when they put the water in there. When they put that, lift station in there. Now it's just across the road.
I guess another person to probably check with would be Ward.
That Ward would be also, yeah, Ward or, okay.
Okay.
I got a question on that. So is everybody on, what, are we expecting to put a septic system in there or
We were gonna
connect to the?
take the tank out and put the line, hook it back up and insulate it.
All the way across? No.
Whatever the dirt, wherever it's been stripped. Would be the shortest, cheapest route I can see.
Just, I think from the alignment that was first looked at, there might be more options, but I think the line would have been pretty much above ground at one point. Is that right? Or-
Yeah, I think there was underneath that slough or where that drainage area is was gonna be the hard part, and that might have been where they dug it up too. Hopefully Ward or some of those other people might know exactly where that is at.
It's just, it might be a case where if you mound it up and insulate it, you're.
Right, and we
creating a
talked
dam
about
down
that
there,
too,
basically, you know.
mounding it when we're done.
But I mean, you can't back up water in the.
Right,
That area is the bottom of the slough, which it
Right.
most likely is. It's,
yeah, we ain't gonna work down at the bottom there, yeah.
so, yeah. I mean,
So your best option, guys, is gonna be after every grade field and stuff, you do else that would be the avenue to go, instead of spending $100,000-$200,000 to get one person a sewer line out. So I would think our fault, temporary.
Well, we figure out where that line exactly is and we'll go from there.
Okay, well, that's all I had. If
Okay,
no one has any
any,
other questions.
well, we gotta figure out where it is first of all, and then we're gonna get an easement from Landis Farms to dig it up and insulate it. So, any questions for Donovan? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thanks, Donovan.
Next on the agenda is the Greenstone Properties, you all had a chance to look at the settlement agreement and,
These both should have the changes requested at the special meeting last week in them. They have not been circulated to Greenstone yet, obviously. I will wait until after all of that is approved by council. Which that was communicated to them last week, but I have not heard anything back from them since.
And this is in the form that we agreed on?
Yep, the findings of fact have everything that you asked for additions last week, and I did have Amanda and Lynn both go through this as well, to make sure that it was all, everything that had been mentioned. I will note when they called before the special meeting, Mr. Taylor, who's with Greenstone but not Archibald, wanted Archibald removed from this and stated that their lot was just a mound of dirt. But I did bring that up with Amanda, and there is construction material and cement and other code issues that are on Archibald's lot. I told Mr. Taylor that they could certainly put that at request in writing. We have not received anything as to that.
So what was the time frame on this? 30 days again?
Well, you have several different time frames. So there's an overarching 180-day time frame, and then within this, they have the 30 days to give you the letter of credit. There's 45 days that they need to get a structural engineer in there and to provide a report, as well as the health unit needs to do an inspection within 45 days. And then obviously they're going to have to apply for a building permit within that time as well. And then the council had requested that they pay all property taxes within those 180 days and keep them current. As well as that they would provide monthly progress reports in writing to the city of Stanley by the third day of every month. And obviously, if they would have any issues with that or not be able to meet something, they would need to contact the city and let them know why the deadline cannot be met.
So when you say current property taxes, that means they can only owe for 21?
I would say so, because then they're not in arrears.
Okay.
Yep. And I believe there's currently 2 years outstanding on all of the lots.
2 or 3.
Yeah, I know they paid 1 year, but I haven't checked this week as to if anything has been paid.
How should your motion be worded?
Well, you guys will have to move to adopt the findings of facts, and then if you want the settlement agreement to be circulated, you'll have to make a motion for that as well. To approve and send it out. Sorry.
Make a motion to approve both, if I'm able.
That's fine.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hellman. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Jake,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty,
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you all. We'll have this sent out certified mail as soon as possible to them and see what we hear back.
So do we all have to sign this?
Yes, the findings of that, yes.
You need that done tonight or?
The sooner the better. That one will need to be done. The settlement agreement, you don't need to sign right now.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alyssa Lynn. She's holding something up.
I have a copy that you guys will sign.
Okay. Okay,
Council and Mayor,
yes.
this is Steve Taylor. I've been in both your meetings, and I want to thank you for your gracious response and everything. We feel comfortable with what you're doing, and we're looking forward to going over it. One concern, the only concern I have, is Archibald is not a building owner. He is a landowner. And if he has to sign those agreements that indicate some liability to him in regards to our building, that may be an issue that we need to address, but we'll see if he won't sign it. So I just need you to be aware of that.
That's a legal question, I think, that we need to
Well, I
look
know.
at.
Yeah.
They will.
Yeah, I want that to be on the record so that you know that. Our intention is to get all the documents signed by all the party you're requesting to sign. But if we have an obstruction from non-owner of the building, we need your guidance on that so that we can proceed forward. That's our intention, to proceed forward and get this completed.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, we move on to the next would be the city engineer stuff, and we'll do these two separate ones, so then?
Yes, we'll need to do two separate motions, one directly for the city engineering firm and then one for the preliminary engineering for the Country Estates Water Main Extension Project.
So we'll start with the one for the city engineer.
You just need a motion for which company to approve?
Yep.
I would motion to approve Bros Engineering.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Minton. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Jake,
Aye.
Zach,
Abstain?
Ty?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Do I need to vote? So we got 4 or 3 and out.
We still got a quorum, so we're good.
Okay. Motion carried. So next one would be the engineering for Country Estates.
Mr. Mayor, I would motion to approve Bros Engineering.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Jake,
Aye.
Zach,
Abstain?
Ty?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, next on the agenda, resolution for tell me what this is, Lynn,
This is something that we're required to do every even numbered year.
Okay.
And it's just kind of just to state that, yes, obviously, who we do our public funds through, and it's also kind of a requirement as part of our pledge securities, which we obviously do twice a year. So that's also a requirement that we are to do this resolution.
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution.
okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ty. Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Jake,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty,
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next on the agenda, the special event liquor license, Christmas party down at the
Move to approve.
South Complex. Is there a second?
Aye.
Ty.
Second?
Second by Zach. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Next up would be the police report.
Last night, Demetrius and I attended the Lions Club meeting at their request, so they got to meet Dusty and Demetrius last night, so that's a good thing. We've been busy with notices on the vehicles for snow removal and working with Curtis on that, and some of them will probably end up hauling off because no progress has been made later this week. Some of them we're gonna try and have it done tomorrow when it's nicer again. So we're working on that, and you know, as far as getting them out to the dump ground if they aren't gonna be removed for us. And the patrol vehicle will be about another week, and we should have the new K9 vehicle here, so. I'm waiting for the other, our new officer, John and him are on the way here, so
Okay.
I guess to introduce him, so I should have him start here sooner, but.
You didn't know we'd be going this quick.
Yep. And, you know, Curtis and I will be probably in touch with Kendra because of snow issues where people are piling snow in other people's berms or yards or at the elementary school, they're cleaning out other people's driveways and piling it up by the fence at the elementary school. And so look for some guidance. People are pushing, like I say, the snow across, putting it on the neighbor's property. So I guess that's all I have. If anybody on the council has something, I guess when they get here, I can introduce.
Yeah, just
Dylan, so.
jump back in then. So we need a motion to approve
Motion
the,
to approve the police report.
by Jake, second by Dave. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next would be the Public Works.
Mr. Mayor, Council. Only thing I have for you today is I need to spend some money.
Is the mic on?
We need to spend some money for snow removal. And I think we're gonna start on Main Street, that third Ave, with all the Sixth Avenue. And east up to the hospital, and turn around and go back up to North Ave, but we need trucks for that. So I need permission to rent trucks.
So you just pull it off the curb and,
Yeah, haul it off and we'll blow it into the trucks. and
Yeah.
move it, so.
yeah.
Goes up to me, I just blow it in their yard.
How much are you thinking that you're gonna need, Kurt?
We need 4 trucks, or 3 trucks actually, like 3 trucks.
What kind of dollar amount though are you thinking you're gonna need?
It's all depends, if we're gonna have to deal with traffic here today.
So they spent, there's a bill for $1,200, what they charged us in December to move, that was a half a day,
Yeah, about 6 hours.
yeah.
And you're thinking one day or,
At least a couple.
yeah,
Well, I don't want to give you a timeline on it.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
We'll do our best.
Well, if we can get that stuff out of town, we're way better off. I mean, it's,
so do you just need a motion to allow them to remove the snow? I mean,
yeah, and we'll leave
I
it up
trust that you
to,
guys aren't gonna like go nuts and just take 40 days to do it just because, so. Yeah, I would make just an open-end motion to let them do what they need to. What's that?
You know the guy in that snowblower?
Hmm. Oh. So he'll work quick.
Yeah.
okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Jake?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Motion carried.
That's all I have. You guys have anything for me here?
Come down my street, Kurt.
We do yours last.
I know.
Thanks, Curtis.
Well, we're on the edge of town and, yeah.
Approve. Motion to approve report, please.
Oh, motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second,
Motion.
second by Zach. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
And as I said, this is our new police officer, Dylan Thomas. So he started the 3rd up here, so. Decided I'd have him come to the meeting so everybody could meet him. He's kind of easy to pick out.
Yeah. Where are you from originally?
Oh, originally I grew up in northern Minnesota.
Okay, so you're used to the weather.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. That's what I was always afraid somebody would come here when the weather's nice and then change their mind. So. Well,
It's a
welcome.
lot, it's a lot warmer than the other day when I met you and I was standing out on the street. I said, we'll visit later. I'm going to get inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was about the coldest day of the year. Well, welcome to Stanley.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here.
Okay, next on the agenda would be the attorney updates.
Did we approve the police report?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
No, it was these two over here.
I don't really have much. Thank you guys for being patient with Amanda and I as we've learned this and worked on all the dangerous properties. I know it's been a lot of work and it was a really long meeting last time. So my apologies, but thank you guys for that. The only other update is we did contact the police committee and I've talked to chief as well, and we're hoping to move forward with the use of Dropbox for video. And I think that will really help the city out and help the police department out as well. And then they don't have to spend all their time burning CDs to send me videos. And I think it will be really beneficial for all of us, but that's all I have.
Okay. Any questions for Kendra? Hearing none, let's move on to council concerns. Dave, you're over there by yourself.
I'd like to thank the police department for what they've been doing, adding guys, and everybody seems like they're getting along, and I think we're having a whole lot more visibility than we ever had before. Plus that canine unit is a good shot in the arm. So, thank you.
Jake?
Actually, we do have a couple of things. I got an email from the state. We have yearly that we have to submit a Renaissance zone, just like an annual report of what we've done. I already took care of it. So I did it tonight at the beginning of our meeting. So it's just something yearly that we do. I snap a couple of screenshots in case we ever need it, but we had one commercial application and completion. So it's fairly simple and straightforward. I just take care of it for the city. The other thing was I was contacted by the Boy Scouts, and they are looking at possibly attending our meeting next month. So if we can get some people that are going to yell at us, it would probably be a little more interesting for them. But
Well, I'm
other
sure
than that, I don't have anything, just like some heads up on those
Should be
two.
the guy with the dangerous building. Okay, Zach,
I don't have any.
Ty.
I've got nothing.
The only thing I had somebody approached me about, Zach, you helped me with this the last time we had the highway clean the cattails out of along Highway 2. They thought it'd be a good time to do it again. They saw how pretty we made the one over by the cemetery now, you know? And I think we went to the DOT and the DOT paid for it. But remember that, Lynn?
Sorry, I was talking to Jake. I didn't hear the whole conversation.
When we cleaned out the north ditch of Highway 2 out here,
Oh, yep.
the cattails, was that 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, about 4 or 5 years ago.
Well, they said it'd be a perfect time to do it again, because we did it in the winter time with a, I don't remember if it was a track hoe or what, but if, get all the cattails out of there, if nothing else, would speed up. Because they're worried about water over there again, that there's a lot of snow piles out on that west side of town.
So actually, what you're inquiring though is if the DOT, if I remember correctly, helped pay for a portion of that.
Right.
Or they did. I guess I'd have to look it up, but if you guys like, I can check that either tomorrow or Thursday and
Can you just
Send
look
you
it up
some-
and contact them and see if they want to do it again, or,
I could.
I mean,
Yep.
don't hurt to ask.
That was my first run on council, and I'm pretty sure they paid for the whole thing. We
Yeah.
asked them if we could fix the drainage issue, and they said no, but we'll dig it out for you.
And it seems to me it helped for a couple of
Did,
years, but
yeah.
it slows down.
You have to pretty much do it in the winter. It'd be a little easier if you did it before it snowed quite so much. It's gonna
Yeah.
be just as much work getting the snow out as the cattails at this point.
Yeah, it's probably a little late now, but even if we get started on doing it for next winter or something. Any other council concerns? The judge's report has made its way around.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Zach. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Last thing would be the bills. Any questions on them?
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. No other discussion, call the roll.
Jake?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
David?
All right.
Motion carried. So is there any other business needs to come before this meeting? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
By Dave, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ty, all in favor, say aye.
All right.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.